Welcome, everyone, to Ladder Daily Digest. Tonight is Tuesdays with Tim, and we're in Tim's living room, and we're hoping that a couple more join us tonight. And I popped in the link in the chat, so if anybody else wants to join. Oops, somebody else joined. Ruth was here.
I was here. That. I was listening to you guys talk.
Hello. Yeah. You must have popped in when I was getting my hot dog.
Hello. I'm sorry, you guys. I was struggling, but I made
About
it.
What? You're here. That's all that counts.
Here, just getting myself in. So I'm here now.
So this is going to be a generic description of Thrive and a sort of a generic going over of Mountain Meadows Massacre. Since Tim was there, that's how old Tim was. We're going to be able to get a first-hand eyewitness.
Well, I wasn't at Thrive. Should I go bye-bye if I wasn't there?
No.
I think he was saying Tim was at the Mountain Meadow Massacre. Is that what you were saying?
That's what he was saying.
Tim's 5 years older than me, and I tease him as if he was there when fire was discovered.
Oh,
That's the kind of friend I am.
that's mean.
So anyways, welcome everybody to the show. And so maybe what we'll do is, Tim, start off by giving sort of an overall view of what the Mountain Meadows Massacre was. And then we'll talk briefly about the differences between American Primeval and stuff that Barbara Brown talked about, and some other what's her name? Juanita Brooks's granddaughter was there as well, telling us some things. And so, would you be able to do that, Tim? Just give us a 2 or 3 minute overview of Mountain Meadows.
Yeah.
Okay. From
September 7th to 11th, 1857, there's a group, the Fancher and
Baker.
Thank you. Baker companies were going to California, and they stopped at a place called Mountain Meadows, and they were besieged by Native Americans and Mormons. And the siege lasted 4 days. And on the 11th September, John D. Lee, or who was it?
I don't remember the exact.
Anyway, somebody was in charge.
Oh, and what we could say, prelude to that, there was some skirmish that caused the death of a couple of the wagon train.
That was later on. That was afterwards.
There was an incident before. There was an incident before,
and that's why they attacked, because there was a survivor, and they didn't want to witness.
Yes.
And so.
Yeah, I think it's important to also say that there's a lot of other things that came into play that created the environment in which this massacre and tragedy occurred.
And one of those was Brigham Young's strong rhetoric about us versus them.
Well, George A. Smith, George Albert Smith.
More sort of you needed a permit to travel through Utah, even though they already were traveling.
They didn't want the federal government coming in to.
That's the Meadows, an overview of the Meadows on Google Maps.
So St. George is at the very bottom of the screen.
Yeah, it's north.
St. George's.
It's way down there.
Is southeast of here.
A little bit southeast. That's correct.
Yeah, about maybe 10 or 20 miles, whatever it is.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll go back. And I put up some of those pictures, Gene.
Well, unfortunately, I'm gonna pop out and go get some and to put up, and you just do the overview, and we'll talk about our own feelings about what we knew about it growing up and stuff, and we'll come back in with some pictures and some more definitions of where things are in like 20 minutes. So who here remembers being taught about the Mountain Meadows Massacre in Sunday school ever in their life? Raise your hand.
It was my favorite primary song, the Mountain Meadows Massacre.
Does Institute count? I found out about it at Institute at Santa Monica City College. The Institute.
And did you hear that it was mostly the Indians that did it, the Native Americans?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that it's only rumors that some Mormons were in it. And
Yes.
so, yes, and so the real truth was out because the author Juanita Brooks had already done a book that explained everything, and she was almost excommunicated. I was going to say she was almost executed, but
I've got her book. Let me get her book.
Her book is The Mountain Meadows Massacre, right? That's just the name of it.
And
that's right. I'm subbing for RFM today.
It was. I want to say it was published in the 50s or 60s. Is that correct?
I have a source down here, but I didn't write down the year.
Look, Tim, can you hear us, Tim? He's got to put his headphones in. Okay, so
have not.
Tim, what's the publication date? What's the publication date on that?
Juanita Brooks?
Yes.
1950.
Wow.
And the church didn't acknowledge it officially till 2007, right?
I think so. I think you're right.
For the 150th anniversary.
Yeah. And then there's this book, Vengeance is Mine, which is about the aftermath. And I'm still waiting to get Ron Walker's book because Ron, apparently they opened everything up for Ron. Andrew Jensen went down to Mountain Meadows and got affidavits from everybody who was involved. And they opened it up like in 2008. And he wrote the book. But what Barbara Jones Brown said about Juanita is how much she got right in this book without even knowing what was in those affidavits. Wow. So I can't wait to get that book and read it. Yeah. So they were under siege, and the men and the boys and the women went out first and went further north, and then they put their weapons in a wagon. The Mormons said, "We'll take care of you guys. Don't worry about it. We're going to take care of the Indians and all that stuff." And they marched them up, and there was a man a Mormon standing beside each man. And when this guy said, "Halt," they shot him in the head. And the Indians killed the women and children further north of there.
Like further north, as in like maybe
150,
a few hundred meters or something.
Yeah. Well, like Linda said, there's 3 cairns. There's 3 piles of rocks. There's the main one we all know about. I first visited it in the 80s. I've been there like 5 or 6 times now. But there's 2 more. There's one for the women and children. This guy that she was talking about kind of knew where it was, and it's along the river, where the river runs. And he said it should be here somewhere, and he was standing right on it, right on the pile of rocks. And then it said 150 yards further was where the boys were buried. And so he went 150 yards and he found the other cairn. So I don't know when they're going to release that. It's on private land at the moment, but it'll be interesting to see where they are so we can mark them. Somebody can mark them appropriately.
So Tim, can you see I'm putting up the pictures?
Yeah, that's That's the northern view. Yeah, that's looking north. I did a kind of a panorama going from north to south. Yeah, that's the Valley of Blood, is what I call it.
Dang.
Yeah.
And off to the left, or is that the river? Straight ahead there now.
Off to the left is kind of the siege area. If I
Right.
remember right. Is there any more? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Hey,
And
Tim,
then
they didn't have any warning that this was coming, did they?
no.
I mean, they were never told to exit or get out or you're going to pay with your lives.
No.
It was just a flat out murderous rampage. Correct?
Well, correct. Remember, George A. Smith was a victim of the Missouri atrocities, Hans Mill and Crooked River and a few of those places, and Nauvoo. So one quote, and I don't remember where I heard this, but there was a conference in Cedar City. St. George didn't exist at this time. He was in Cedar City and said, we had to plant an apple tree in the town square and fertilize it with the blood of Missourians. And there was a lot of war, rumors of war, because Johnson's army was coming into the valley, and they were doing everything to stop them coming into the valley. They were burning wagon trains and supplies and everything they could to stop Johnson from coming into Salt Lake. What they buried all the crates that had the church records were buried in the what would be the basement of the Salt Lake Temple. And they covered that all over with dirt so that when the army came there, they wouldn't know that they were building a temple there. And those same crates were not opened until the 1970s, when Leonard Arrington became church historian. And Mike Quinn told me it was like Christmas every day when he would go through these crates and find documents that hadn't been seen for over 100 years. What?
Right. Trevor Larson also mentions that
115 years. Yeah.
Parley Pratt got killed, and they were
Well, that's not related at all. That's something different. He was
some
going after.
people put out there that that was not a true thing. That there was a rumor that there's also a rumor that people that killed Joseph Smith was in the wagon train.
Those
and it was just upstanding citizens.
No, those are just all those rumors came about later on to justify the massacre.
Somebody said it was the most wealthy wagon train recorded.
Yeah, they had cattle. They stole the cattle, and probably lots of gold and silver. Probably, I mean, they're going to California. California's the Golden State, so they wanted to go travel. They would have.
The real reason was that the church's, what do you call it, identity, the church's image had to be preserved. So when the first couple of people got killed, they felt that they had to protect the church over the lives of 140 people.
Yes.
No witnesses.
No witnesses. And they were worried that there was another wagon train coming through Beaver at the time. And I don't know, she didn't say what happened to this wagon train. Did they reroute it? I mean, because when they killed them, they just left the bones there. It wasn't until the army came down and marched line abreast, picking up all the bones and putting them under the cairns. So those bodies deteriorated for like 5 or 6 years before anything was done. They just left them to the elements, and animals, scatter the bones and stuff. I mean, so disrespectful to not even bury them.
Right.
I mean, like I said, I've been there 5 or 6 times now, but this really got to me this time. When I walked around the monument and I saw the names down there, that really got to me. I knew about the monument on the hill they built in 1990, and people would, one time I was there, somebody had scratched some of the names out of that one on the hillside. The first time I visited there, somebody left. Every time I went there in 85, 86, people would leave flowers, plastic flowers. And I think in the 90s also, 93, 2 or 3, I went out there. And then in 2001, 2002, I went out there with my parents. And 2015 was the last time I was there before this time. Yeah. And there was always somebody would leave flowers.
Tim, were there any, pardon my naivete, but were there any members of the church in the party that was slaughtered?
No.
No, that was an American Primeval add-on.
Well, there's September Dawn with, what's his face?
Oh yeah, we don't need to go over all the ones that didn't do it right.
Well, September Dawn is closer than American Primeval.
Okay.
I mean, in terms of they get that kind of right.
But Tim, I was thinking we could let some other panelists talk. Ruth, would you like to say some things about it?
I have written a blog about this, and I would say that for a very long time, so I've only been out of the church for about 1.5 years, but I dismissed this story as anti-Mormon rhetoric, and I wouldn't even give it attention. I knew that it existed, but I thought every version that I was hearing or getting glimpses of were just anti-Mormon rhetoric. So I, as a true believing member, didn't give it any time. And then I started reading the gospel topic essays, and this is one of them that's in there, and broke my heart in so many ways. I think I saw a depiction of it in Under the Banner of Heaven. Is that where it's in? Maybe.
Yeah, there's kind of a depiction of it.
And the fact that they blamed the Native Americans being from Native American descent was extremely hurtful to me. And I just, for a church that I upheld for standing for truth and righteousness, this story they did not do that at all. And it just was awful. And at Thrive, I went to the presentation, and that was all I could handle. I knew that I could not go to the location because it's still so, I mean, I'm not trying to make it about me, but it's so raw for me because I feel like I have participated in it, and because I was such a true believing Mormon, so for me to go, I'm not ready to go there. I feel like I will someday, but it's a hard topic for me.
That's right.
I understand.
Thanks, Ruth.
Hey, it was hard for me this time.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've been there 3 or 4 times, and this one really hit me hard. I mean, I was crying. Okay, it was like.
Yeah, and Lila, as a general authority's daughter, did you ever hear this? Oop, you're muted.
You're muted, Lila.
Sorry about that. I think I heard references to it vaguely. There was never any real discussion about it. It was kind of like one of those, it was like polygamy of Joseph Smith. It's like not really talked about, and you kind of knew there was something, but unless you were willing to go to the trouble to look something up, you would never have learned it in
Which
church.
pre-internet was hard to look something up.
It was hard. And I know there were books and things, but who's going to know? You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So you don't even know to look up what you don't know. So it was kind of one of those things. And then when I did hear the truth about it, once again, it's another blow to my Mormon, just how completely unaware I was about the facts.
Yeah.
Being born and raised in the church, and just how unaware I was shocking to me. And it was really, it's hard to watch. It's hard to hear about. It's hard to imagine. When I saw American Primeval, and I know that it's not very accurate, but what I heard is it was a lot worse than what they showed.
Oh, yeah.
Worse.
Yeah.
And what I saw there was so horrific that I thought, what kind of human beings would have done this for any reason? I don't care who told you to do it. I don't care if, God himself appeared to me and said, you need to do this. I'd say, I'm sorry, I can't. Send me to hell. I can't do this. So I'm just blown away at the cruelty that went on, and that it was commanded or sanctioned in any way by the church leaders is just another example of the shame that this church has. I feel like I have shame around being a member for so long. Paying tithing, preaching, wanting to get people baptized, trying to teach my friends, just all of that. It's embarrassing to me now to say, hey, you know what? I was wrong about all of it. And it's just another one of those embarrassing stories and painful, just painful. I understand, Ruth. I mean, I'm not Native American, and I don't have any relatives that were involved. But it was just so awful to watch. I couldn't watch. I had to hide my eyes. It was just too bad. Too awful. Yeah. That's really all I know to say about it.
I was really disappointed in American Primeval. I don't suggest anybody watch it. Just bad. It's just schlocky filmmaking. And the guy who directed it loves blood and gore and those kind of stories. And the guy who wrote The Revenant. And
I suggest everybody watch it and then buy Barbara Brown's book, is what I'll say, to learn the real thing. And yeah,
well, Barbara's
the
book
Primeval was made just for entertainment, not necessarily for accurate.
Gene, Barbara's book picks up after the massacre.
Oh.
It doesn't talk about the massacre. She picks up after it happened.
Okay, then Juanita Brooks's book.
No, Ron Walker's is probably the best.
Oh,
I read Juanita years ago and I lost my copy, so I had to get another one. And here comes Sally.
Tim, have you read Will Bagley's book?
No. I was going to get it and read it, but I knew that Will had an axe to grind.
I think Will's axe that he had was partly because he would go to Mormon History Association meetings and they wouldn't serve coffee for like 20 years. And then he finally wrote that book and then they started serving coffee. That's what I heard. That's the rumor.
For what it's worth.
Brother Jones, you read it?
I've read most of it, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And you can actually listen to him on YouTube channels that he kind of gives an overview of his book. And my understanding is it won many awards or some awards. I want to say it was published around the year 2000. I'm not positive.
Yes.
It's about 25 years ago. But I would say that I had been wanting to go to this location for a number of years after I found out about this story, which was probably 8 or 9 years ago. I'm not sure exactly when. And the book does, well, this, I'm sure the other books explain, there are many, many moving parts in this story. It's not just some rogue people in Cedar City, Utah. There's many
Right.
different people
Right.
that come into play that created this really tragic event. It is hard to imagine. However, I would say that in the 1850s, on the frontier, so to speak, death and survival were things of the day, right? I mean, you could die any day, basically,
Yes.
from an accident or whatever. In fact, on this subject, I would highly recommend a really incredible book which you've heard of called Devil's Gate. It's about the William Martin handcart companies. That's written by a professional historian who just looks at the source documents and he demythologizes all of it. And that is an incredibly sad story that did not have to happen, just like this story did not have to happen. And so it is really, I think it's hard to imagine people. I mean, if you can imagine today, even with the technology we have, it would be extremely difficult for us to walk across the desert in the elements, even with like our modern technology, and survive. Okay. And these people doing this 150 years ago with, little technology by our standards. And mindset must have just been very different, but it is still very tragic. You would think there would be much more charity and neighborly love, but I think in the Western United States, the settling of the West is probably a story of blood and horror.
Not really.
No,
there weren't that many gunfights. We really mythologize and glorify the setting of the West.
That's probably true, Tim. You're probably right.
I mean, there's like maybe 10 or 20 gunfights total the whole time.
Probably the scariest part of the Old West was going to the dentist.
True. Yeah, maybe.
That's probably true.
Every saloon didn't have a shootout every weekend.
No, that's Hollywood. I mean, maybe it happened once or twice.
That's probably true. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, the worst was probably OK Corral.
Yeah.
When you think, I mean, that's the most famous one.
Well, on this subject, somebody asked if this was the worst massacre in U.S. history on U.S. soil.
No, it's the worst massacre by whites on whites.
Okay, right. But there was another one up that they mentioned.
Sand Creek.
Near is that near Bear Lake?
Not Sand Creek. The Bear Lake massacre. Yeah.
I don't know anything about that.
That was the one. Not Bear River. Not Bear Lake.
What year?
Bear River
About what year did that happen?
About the same time. Well, see, Johnson's army didn't get to Utah till June of 1858.
Okay.
So this is 6 months later, 7-8 months later, that Johnson's army shows up.
Okay.
Yeah. This is before the Indian Wars, really.
Okay.
Remember, the Indian Wars don't start until after the Civil War. That's when Sherman.
This is history I'm not very familiar with, honestly. Yeah.
Fred Gowans taught American military Indian campaigns at BYU. It was a two semester course. I took it and I learned all about what we did to those poor people. They mutilated women and children really bad. They wore their body parts on their heads. It's pretty bad. I mean, it's really bad. Sand Creek was bad. Colorado. The Washita was bad. But those all happened after the Civil War. I don't know when Bear River happened. But I think it was 400 they killed or something. What did you say?
Randy, do you remember anything growing up?
You know, I'm not as well read on the Mountain Meadows Massacre as several of you, but to humanize it just a little bit, I've kind of felt like over the last 5 years, 10 years, a pinata that's hanging from a tree, and like Lila mentioned, you know, it's one thing after the other, and I feel like I keep getting hit with this bat, you know, and it started with the Mountain Meadows Massacre was one of the worst hits I took. Looking at that, and I keep getting called to mind a song called it's about a group of people down below in the valley and a group of people on the mountain, and it's called One Tin Soldier Rides Away. And it's about the people that attack the other group of people for absolutely no reason other than greed and vengeance for nothing, you know. And
Billy Jack.
I just can't imagine that a group professing to be members of the restored Church of Jesus Christ could commit such a heinous act and such a disgusting display of do it in the name of heaven, you can justify it in the end, or part of the words to that. And, you know, that's just one bat swing that almost my pinata wide open. And there were several other things, and then getting kicked out of the special assistance ward by the bishop because he felt I was a little too old to be there. Just split me wide open, and my candy went everywhere. And I continue to learn about these heinous acts. That how does a loving God let this happen to people who have done nothing to provoke this, other than trying to make a better life for themselves, just like Brigham and the Mormons crossing over to attack them? It just disgusts me, and it's just another validation to me that there's no godliness or truth in any of this.
Yeah.
I shared
Here
that
we're-
story actually with you, Lila, about getting kicked out of my ward after my wife passed away on your spiritual abuse topic. Yeah, I never cease to be amazed at some of the things that I learn that were done in the name of heaven, in the name of God. It's not just the Mormons. I know there's other groups, but especially a church to which I devoted my everything for 50 plus years. Yeah, and it really gets to me too, Ruth, like you said. It really
Needs to close some applications. Randy, you're kind of breaking up a little bit. Can you try to close anything that's open or anything?
Oh.
We're having trouble hearing you.
that was some good stuff.
We heard most of it.
Yeah.
It was just a little bit of unstable connection there. Oh.
Bear River was January 29th, 1863. So that was years later.
Okay. Randy went bye-bye.
Uh-oh.
Maybe he'll come back.
Yeah, we might have to kick him from the studio and bring him back in later. We'll see what happens. So in the meanwhile, one thing I'll say is we went to Thrive, and Lila, if you want to stay and look at the pictures, you can, or if you need to get to do some other things.
No, it's fine. I like the pictures, but I want to just say one thing before I go. If I go, I already talked to Randy, like he mentioned, but the rest of you here, if you want to share any spiritual abuse story with me that you feel you have experienced in your life having to do with Mormonism, and spiritual abuse, can cover a lot of territory, but anything that you feel was abusive to you.
I'm working on it, but it's hard.
Okay. or any trauma, religious trauma. That's what I'm writing about, and I'm collecting stories. And I would love to hear from you, Ruth, as a Native American. You know, how do you feel about what's happened with your, how can I put this? Your Native story being hijacked, and you were taught that you were something that you're not. Oh, you're muted. Can you unmute? Yeah.
I have a small amount of Native American in me on both sides of my family, but I have enough to, I mean, I look the part.
Oh, you do.
Yeah.
I have a drop.
I have more than a drop, but there's a lot of trauma in that. I really thought Spencer W. Kimball loved the Native Americans, and when I found out how they were really treated and the wrongs that were done to them in the name of the church, again, very hurtful and very hard for me to stomach.
Thank you. Yeah. These are the things that I would love to hear.
Yeah, if you get a chance, I mean, they're not all Native American focused, but I do have a blog where I've written a lot of my thoughts and traumas, and it's called beyondthespaciousbuilding.com.
Let me write that down. Okay. Yeah, I'd love that. I'll check it out. But really what I would need is like a quote, like a 1 to 2 page written kind of summary of what you feel you have experienced in the church that's abusive. And that applies to all of you, any of you,
Sure.
all of you. What was the name again? Beyond
the spaciousbuilding.com.
Cool.
Okay, that's we all know what that is.
Yep.
Yay,
Cool.
Randy. Okay, yeah. So
that was scary.
I'll give you my email if that's okay, and then you can send them to me if you want to.
Yeah.
And that applies to anyone who's listening as well. The book is full of stories already, but I will do a volume 2. I will do as many as I need to because I want to keep putting these stories out. And I'm not going to change what you write. So you can put anything you want in there. I will not edit it other than punctuation. Okay? And my email is Lila, Lila, as in rector, T as in Tuller, designs@yahoo.com. Okay, that's it.
Thanks.
And we'll
Put it
also
in the
try to
chat.
include the links in the description of this show so that maybe by tomorrow afternoon, I'll for sure have them in, but I'll try to do them tonight as well.
Ruth,
Yeah.
Scott Linford wants to know the channel name again.
Beyondthespaciousbuilding.com.
Tim, what were you pointing at? What were you trying to say?
I was saying put it in the chat.
Oh, in the chat.
Oh, you want me to write it in the
email.
chat? Sorry.
Put it in the chat. Not put it in the Facebook, the YouTube chat. We'll get it right one day.
Yeah. So Randy, we'll let you finish up your thoughts if you remember. But you only have to say every other word because the last time we heard every other word.
Just fill in the blank.
That sucks.
It's easy. You can do
hate
it.
when that happens. Can you hear me now?
Uh-huh.
Can you hear me now?
It doesn't match with your
I just
mouth.
got.
Yeah.
Great. I just got a brand new router and set it up today. Dang it.
It's okay. We can hear you.
I'm seeing Tim do this, and I'm like, okay.
I'm cracking up. I'm cracking
I'll
up.
speak slower.
There we go.
We have to do a for the hard of hearing. Tim, Randy's going to talk now.
I kind of went through my spiel, but suffice it to say that my shelf broke wide open after the Mountain Meadows Massacre and a few other things. I have 2 sons that are gay. and the way they were treated. Yeah, just several things. But the Mountain Meadow Massacre broke my pinata wide open. And you should give me a shout out because I wore for St. Patrick's Day my green cross.
Woo!
That's
Yeah.
next
Right.
week.
That was dessert from my little spiel. So I'll listen.
Is St. Patrick's Day part of the new Mormon celebrations? Does it have to do with Lent? Or
Yeah, we're in the middle of Lent now. One thing at a
Palm
time,
Sunday?
Gene.
The new Mormon Lent.
Yeah.
I
So
gave up Mexican food for Lent for about 23.
that's right. I
23
gave up
seconds.
Christianity for Lent. We'll say.
Yeah. Okay. I'll give that up for Lent.
So don't be shocked, everybody, but I'm gonna share some slides from
Right.
our trip to St. George Thrive.
Yep.
My
You
wife
have to tell us
Michelle.
who everyone is. You have to tell us who everyone is, Gene.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. This is Brother Jones, and this is my wife Michelle. And Brother Jones, describe your picture.
It's a Van Gogh-esque starry night, sort of a sunrise or sunset on a little lake. It's totally cool. I was fortunate to see a preview of them and got to select mine ahead of everybody else.
That's right. Brother Jones is special.
Okay, tell us who all these people are, Gene. One at a time.
Fred and Bod and John and Jamie and
Jack
Sandra.
and Joe. Nemo's in there somewhere.
Yeah, I'm there.
You're there. Ruth is in there somewhere.
Oh, look at that. That's
There's
Britt and Nemo. And who's
And a
that?
fan. A fan.
Fan. An adoring fan.
Oh,
Okay.
There's
Oh,
Megan.
We love Megan.
Megan and Michelle.
Oh, Summer. She's the best.
Summer got a second painting, so Michelle deserved a hug.
Special. Well, look at that. There's Maven. And
Maven.
who's the other one? Do I know
Maybe
her?
and another fan.
Okay.
That is Nemo's wife.
Okay.
A rare sighting.
Seriously.
very rare. Very rare.
Look, Tim. Oh my gosh. And John and what's that guy's name? I know him.
Um,
Barry.
Richens or something?
Rich-
Barry Richens
That's it. That's it. Yeah.
and the great John DeLynn.
Yes, there he is.
Somehow my slides are not in the order I put them, but we'll figure it out.
Barbara Brown.
Barbara Brown. Yep.
Barbara Brown got a rainbow love letters.
Pretty. I like it.
That's a fan.
A fan.
This was a
You,
wide angle
Gene,
shot of the whole
Gene,
crowd.
you should explain that your wife does these little 3x3 paintings
She
that
spends hours and hours and
are
hours,
really
weeks and weeks and weeks.
they're really great. I mean,
Very
they're-
intricate.
yes.
Beautiful. They are
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. I own one too. She gave me. Ooh, look at that. It's tattoo art.
That's Megan's.
This actually is darn it,
Wendy.
Wendy Wilcox Jensen.
Yep.
Okay. I've
And
never
she happened to pick the dragon and have a dragon tattoo.
Oh, that's perfect.
Oh, okay. I thought it was, oh, Megan is the son. Never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about.
See, and these aren't going the way I thought somehow.
In the
Oh.
replay in the
Those
back.
are good ones. So
Oh,
after
I
that,
know the Satan guy.
The same
Satan
Corbin.
Film.
Corbin, right?
Corbin.
Yeah.
So we gave him the camera to take our picture, and he took a selfie
Picture of
first.
himself. What a Satan thing to do.
So they're different presentations. But anyway, there's a handsome picture.
Love it. That's great.
I don't know who that is.
Britt or Tim.
That was the karaoke guy.
It's
You know.
karaoke.
Ruth, you're the one that said I can really karaoke, right? That was you.
Yep.
So people aren't going to be able to see, but Nemo's painting, he got a bigger one because he's special. He came from
What?
across the pond,
Sarah's feeling special.
and it is it's a Mormon horse sitting at the beach
Oh, that's right. I remember he got the
eating some jammy Dodgers.
Nice.
I actually might be able to come up with a better picture of that if I can look up some things.
That's a great painting. I've seen it.
There's a Tuesdays with Tim group.
That's cute. See, I was
Megan
going
is-
to go and I couldn't go last minute. I had made homemade jammy Dodgers for Nemo.
That's
You ate them all?
They're so good. No, I picked them out. They're so good. Like
I gave Nemo jammy Dodgers.
There you go, right there.
there they
Here's
are.
the pre-picture, fumble around,
Nice.
open them everything out, and then there's the jammy
Right.
Dodgers.
Crumbly.
Oh,
I-
an extra.
I'll make a color commentary here. I think Nemo is more likable in person than he is online.
Definitely.
I really do. He seems more gracious
That-
in person than online.
So the
Oh, yeah.
opening evening featured everybody go to group tables and discuss something, but I never looked at those things. I just talked to all the people.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, they did. And they were the same in each room. They didn't. It was like
There was
they had
like 4 or
16
5 prompts, and they were just all over the place. And so yeah, you can get duplicates. And there's a polygamous couple on the left-hand side. They have a channel with like 100,000 subscribers or 50,000 or whatever it is.
Ooh.
They're big.
No, they are a couple
For some
who
reason,
grew up
I'm
in
missing some
polygamy.
pictures.
They're not polygamous.
They were.
He was raised in the cult. He was
Yes.
raised in the
FLDS.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So Sister All Best gave a presentation.
Sister All Best?
I think she still goes to church.
Oh, what was her
So
presentation?
her big start was writing something about the patriarchy that Deseret News or
Oh, yeah. I know who she is.
Yeah.
fighting patriarchy or something.
She did a podcast called
Breaking down.
Breaking down.
Patriarchy. Yep.
The
Yeah.
patriarchy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I caught Maven sleeping. No, she wasn't sleeping. John DeLynn was saying, "Be nice to everybody in the world," and Maven wasn't having it.
I thought he was saying, "Be nice to Jean." And she wasn't
Yeah,
happy.
that could have been it. And then this is John DeLynn making some presentation. So if anybody wants to read these, if they can, go full screen. So he was bragging about content creators are doing a pretty good job with some things. And so he's saying, this is we can't make the Elders Church go away, but we can make it healthier and more accountable. And so that's a good message. And then here is John and I don't know what it was. Robert Miller.
Anthony.
Julie Hanks was supposed to appear, and it's possible that she was getting pushback, and she decided to cut down on her Mormon Spectrum appearances so that she can mend fences at home.
Oh,
So Natasha gave her presentation.
Yeah, it was great.
It was fantastic. That whole day was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was a good day.
I
There's
think he took pictures of all her
Oh my goodness.
screenshotted all her things. Yeah.
Is that
There's-
me?
there's Tim giving a question without a mic,
Mr. Harley Davidson.
and Brother Jones politely clapping because he knows he has to drive in the same car with him.
There you go.
That was John's presentation.
Part of John's presentation. If you strike me down, I'll become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
Yes, Obi-Wan.
that's true for Nemo. for sure.
I think that's true for all of us.
Yeah.
So anyway,
All
Yeah,
right.
I didn't make the cut with my little picture.
so yours is in there somewhere. I'm gonna have to go find it
I'm
and
just
put it up.
teasing. It's fine.
It was Michelle and you were talking first, and I'm gonna see if what I can do. I don't know why the pictures didn't show up in the same order that I put them in.
Technology.
And
No,
so,
you have a little troll that's following you around, messing up all the stuff up.
So-
It's the SCMC.
There you go.
Brother Jones actually was, I think, the first person in our group to go to a Thrive. And what year was that? And was it before the London one?
Yeah, well, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the first one was in November of 2019, just before the pandemic, in Salt Lake, and there was about
I went to that.
16. Yeah, six. This is where Sarah Edmonds was
Uh-huh.
keynote. Yeah.
That's the one. Yep,
Yeah.
I was there.
Yeah, there was about 1,700 people that attended, and
Wow.
it was I only actually, I'm trying to think, was it just one day on Saturday? I can't remember. I only went to the one day.
It might have been 2 days, but I didn't spend the night up there. I
Yeah.
just drove home and came back up.
Yeah, it was kind of the kickoff of the whole concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was very well done, I thought.
It
well
was.
edited, the whole thing. They had books
And
Reynolds,
Jeremy?
yeah, he was there. Sorry. He was there.
and we are
And he was signing
we are
it.
talking about starting a Thrive in California. So anybody from California who wants to help form a Thrive, I guess I'm the spearhead.
I am actually the spearheader for Arizona. So we're going to have one in October is what we're shooting for.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll point somebody to you. And I'm going to bring
Where
up the
in
pictures
Arizona,
again.
Ruth?
We're hoping to do it like centralized Phoenix area so that everyone from the whole valley can come.
Yay.
Uh-oh.
There. So
October
Uh-oh.
in Arizona is going to be great.
Yeah, we figured
Yeah,
July
so we
probably
did.
wasn't going to be a nice time to do it.
No.
So we went to lunch, and Megan is on the front right, and then Barry, and then a fan paid for our lunch.
Steve was his name.
Steven, right. And then
Tim.
some old guy with a beard in the back left, and Michelle and me.
I don't know what that is.
And then at the table next to us was Bill and his girlfriend and a couple of fans. Rebecca and Landon on the left, and Anthony Miller on the front left.
Who's in the back with the gray hair?
I think a fan.
Dan?
I don't know.
He looked like somebody I've seen before, but look at that. Look who. There's my friend.
And so we have the heralds on the bookends on the bottom left and right.
Yes.
And then we have
One. And that's Renee
Renee and her husband,
and her husband Anthony, and that's Martine and Stuart.
Martine and Stuart.
Yeah. Great. That's where I was going to be staying, but I didn't make it. Who's that?
This is John DeLynne's cousin. He was on our show. Oh yeah, look. Here's
There
this.
It's the tapir. I mean, the Mormon horse.
That's so cute. She did a really good job.
So cute.
It better be on Nemo's shows, or I'm going to send a hitman. I'm going to send
Send some
Somebody-
Danites.
somebody to England.
You're funny.
Let's see where things go.
That's so
So
cute.
here's some pictures of
Ah,
paintings Michelle did close up.
look at those tulips. Look at that rose. She's really, really good. That girl is talented.
Yeah, it's
Very
not easy. Look at
talented.
that. Those cactus are so pretty.
Yeah, I love them.
Did you give the shrooms to Bill?
Oh, there's
Reel?
mine. Mine is the the bonsai tree in the middle with the yin and yang.
Ooh,
symbol.
that's pretty. I
Yeah.
like that bonsai tree.
Where'd it go?
The one next to the pines. That one.
Boy,
I have to
now
figure
I
out
have
where
to
it went.
all these again.
I can tell you a funny story about John DeLynn.
Let's hear
Okay.
First night, I was at dinner at a restaurant before anything had started. Yeah, there's the bonsai. And John and Nemo and his group of people, Clint, came in and they were sitting in the same little room that we were in. And I was like, oh, I should go say hi. And I think I texted Nathan Hinckley and he said, just go say hi. So I went and introduced myself and told him, that I thanked him for introducing me to Nathan because it was through Mormon Stories that Nathan and I started
Right.
becoming friends. And then I help co-host him on occasion. So that was the first night. And then the second day, I had to, I was taking a class. So I missed the morning session and I showed up late and people standing outside. Jean was out there and Jean introduced me to John. And
Yeah.
I was like, hi, yeah, we met last night. And then I don't know, 20 minutes later, I was standing outside again with Megan and John walks by and she's like, hey, John, have you met Ruth? And I was like, oh my gosh, he's going to be like, nobody else introduced me to her. There's me.
There's Ruth picking out her painting.
The question is, did John remember you from the first to the second?
No, I
didn't
don't think so.
But the second to the third, maybe?
Yeah, I think by the third time he was like, yep.
Okay. These are great.
Where's mine?
Those paintings are going to be worth a lot.
Yours
of
was
money.
first, Tim.
Yeah, right. I thought I had it sitting on my desk next to me, and I can't find it now.
Yeah, I own a spa, and I put mine in my spa. So mine's sitting for people, my clients to see it.
Perfect. It's perfect for a spa.
Yeah.
There's the public presentation.
Sam.
Sam and what's her name? But he used to be FLDS, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, this was a slide. Alyssa Grenfell in 6 videos. The last 6 had 1.3 million views.
Million.
And the LDS website had 400,000.
Well, John's observation about who speaks for the church was Ward Radio, Jacob Hansen, and one more. Because the church doesn't have a public relations department because they won't let you see Turanian. So he said, this is who's speaking for the church. Do you remember who the third one was?
No, I can picture him though. Jacob Hansen.
Quick Media.
Oh.
Something like
I'm
that.
not sure.
Anyway, the 3 idiots, basically.
Yeah.
Like
3 idiots. There is a guy that's doing it too that's like not Jacob Hansen, but he's on that par. And he is, what's that guy's name? I can't think of it right now. But it's embarrassing. Like these people are talking about the imminent second coming and they're talking about, the 144,000 and all the food storage and everything, and just they're getting all the preppers are getting all riled up, and that's supposed to be like any day now. And I blame President Nelson for stirring that all up again.
Well, he said that it's imminent.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be any day now.
And when it doesn't happen, which we know it's not going to, is anyone going to notice, or are they just going to like put it down the memory hole again, like they always do?
Well, some shelf will break.
Yeah,
and
maybe
some will continue on. Just
they'll be like,
keep maintaining an even strain.
I remember thinking it's the Lord's time frame, and we don't know what imminent really means.
I remember going to a young adult conference in Long Beach in 1973, probably June, where Harold B. Lee said it's imminent.
Mm-hmm.
He's coming. He'll be coming for the next few years.
Joseph Smith said it. He said people standing there in that very generation would live to see Christ coming again.
Well,
Yep.
that's why Woodruff signed the manifesto, because Joseph said, if I live to be, what was it, 80 something,
Yep.
and that would be 1893. So he thought that Jesus was coming back in 1893, and that's the only reason he signed the manifesto.
Mm.
And I heard that Brigham Young in 1857 was doing the retrenchment or whatever because he wondered why Jesus hadn't returned already, and he figured that the members just weren't good enough, so he wanted everybody to double down.
Well,
That's what-
Joseph expected Jesus to come to the temple in Nauvoo. That was one of the things that's not talked about much, but they built a temple so Jesus could come back in Nauvoo even.
Well, they can't talk about it for obvious reasons.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's where
Yeah.
it began. I mean, it's like he's coming back. We're building the temple for him. He's going to come to Nauvoo. And then I guess they thought they were going to go to Adamonte or something.
But don't forget, it might have already happened.
Oh, that's right. That's what Wendy says. Wendy says it might have happened. He's coming secret.
We don't, yeah, only the righteous few know about it. It was
Yeah.
Wendy Nelson that said something like that, right?
Yep. Recent. Yeah.
Like in the last 6 months or something, or
Yeah.
a year. Yeah.
Oh,
And,
man, that was so bad.
and I remember Lorenzo Snow claimed to have seen Jesus, but it was in the stairway
Oh,
in the
yeah.
Salt Lake Temple leading from, there's mine.
Ah,
Nice.
My airplane. All
That's
right.
awesome. That's awesome.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
that's
But
so
it was
cool. It's gonna crash.
this. No, it's not going to crash. It's going to fly forever. But
Trevor
it
Trevor just said,
this-
Lori Daybell just said that she sees Jesus too. I was about to
Yeah.
say that.
Can we,
I think Jesus is her jailer.
anyway, but
It's gonna burst
people
out
used
of
to
prison.
make a
Bust her
big
out.
deal that Lorenzo Snow saw Jesus in the stairway rather than the Holy of Holies. I don't know if you ever heard that
Does
story.
that mean
but-
he's more holy?
No, there was something about it that he didn't appear to him in the Holy of Holies.
I mean,
But
even
it was in
Jesus
the
got to use the
stairway.
bathroom.
Exactly.
He was on his way down to the bathroom.
And no revelation has been given since polygamy ended. The last polygamous prophet was Grant, and no revelations have come since then. I mean, that's another thing they say because they were polygamous. They're getting my. You found it, Gene. There's Michelle giving me mine, and I wish I could read it so I could find it so I could read it to you, but I don't know where it is. It's on my desk. Oh,
Uh-oh. It's the same person that mixed up Jean's slides. I'm telling you, they're out to get you.
Yeah, Lori is Jesus's favorite.
Yes, she did say that too.
I watched it with Megan Friday night, and then I rewatched it so I could watch it at 9:00 my time. Oh my!
Wait, Lori is Jesus's favorite or Jesus?
Yes,
No,
she's
Lori is Jesus's favorite.
Jesus's favorite, and she got that off of a T-shirt from Walmart. Megan was talking this morning after the pre-trial or the hearing,
Yeah.
the pre-trial hearing, and she
Yeah.
showed a T-shirt from Walmart. That's what she got this.
I'm
Tim, the
Jesus'
Lord works in
favorite.
mysterious ways.
Yes, I know.
On this note, is that interview available on YouTube? The full interview?
I don't
I had-
know. It's
I had to get Peacock to watch it.
I haven't been able
Yeah.
to find it. Yeah, the full interview. So
Yeah, I watched it on Peacock.
she only has about 15 to 20 minutes screen time, and that's it.
Yeah.
Everything else is all around her. She couldn't
Because
shut
she
up.
was babbling.
Yeah, I've listened to the interviews with Keith. I've listened to 2 interviews with him about it now, and he just said she was all over the place. He couldn't corral her at all. So, and Megan is on the coast. Her boyfriend, her partner, took her to the coast so she could relax tonight. We wish you well, Megan. I keep telling you, relax, take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Morning is like digging ditches 8 hours a day. So just take your time, girl. I want you to be safe. We need you.
Tim,
Take your time. Yes.
Michelle texted me. She thinks this is the quote. Like an airplane gliding through the vibrant colors of a sunset over towering mountains, may we soar above life's obstacles, finding beauty in every horizon and strength in every ascent.
That's
Does that
it.
sound like it?
Beautiful.
That's good. Yeah.
So that's the
I
other
don't
thing
know
that
what it,
Michelle does. She includes a sort of a saying that sort of goes
Quote on
along
the
with
back.
Oh, that's amazing. She's so
She
Yeah.
wasn't doing it when Lila got hers. Lila was the second person on Earth to get.
Who
wow.
got the first one? Why am I not first? Who was it?
Maven.
Maven.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Jean.
No,
That goes
I
with that.
didn't get this until like a year and a half
What?
went by.
Yeah, you're like Emma. You found out you got yours much later.
And Brother Jones gave me 2,
Let's see.
3.
Oh, look at that. It's a mushroom. It's a mushroom in a cup with some ferns and other. That's really, 2 mushrooms. That's cute. She's amazing. She is.
Oh, really amazing.
I'm so impressed because I do a little watercolor myself, but
Those are nice. Yeah.
she's got me beat, that girl. Yeah, she's good.
And somebody asked if anybody's seen the collapse with Melissa and Nemo yesterday. Yes, I did.
The collapse.
I don't know
I
why he
think they
calls it
meant-
a collapse.
I think they meant
Collab.
collab
Collaboration. Yeah.
with the B, not P.
They both collapsed.
Sometimes you type
yeah, I
and it
was
doesn't
wondering
work
what collapsed.
I
together.
want to see the collapse.
Yeah, Lisa, retype that
We understood.
for quality control.
Collaboration.
So Thrive was good anyway.
Yeah,
It was my first time. I was afraid. I went by
Mine too.
myself. I didn't know anybody, but I felt like I knew everybody because we had such shared experience. So,
Yeah, and you
That's
got
right.
introduced to everyone, especially John Delenn.
especially.
I had interviewed Ruth, and so on the first night, Michelle talked to Ruth.
Yeah.
And so that's how good Michelle is. She does the things that I was supposed to do.
That's what you bring in. Yep.
Trevor.
Well,
So yeah, so let's end on the happy note. Instead of going back to the Mountain Meadows Massacre, but people can rewind and see it again and look it up. Look up the Mountain Meadows Massacre. Find out more. Look at some other pictures. There's, like Tim said, there was a few different sites, and so
Pace
Yeah, there's-
yourself.
There's 2 more beyond. There's the one for the women and there's another one for the men and boys a little further on up the road. One's on the left side, the other one's on the right side. I saw that in 2015 when I was going up.
and there are volcanoes around there.
There's a bunch of volcanoes around.
So I was going to move down to St. George, but now I'm not because a million years from now, another volcano might.
And
Hop
before
out
you
of
go, check the weather and make sure it's not 50-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah, it was kind of windy.
That's what we had to endure.
That's okay.
Well, isn't there supposed to be an earthquake on the 14th?
Oh, that's right. Yes.
who
Oh,
said
that's
that?
Friday.
I thought it was the 13th.
Was it the
Oh,
13th?
Jesus guy. Who said it?
What's that guy's name?
So, who claims that she can see the future, and Rebecca posted it that it was going to be. One report says March 14th, and one says April 14th.
Oh, whoops. We have a whole month discrepancy.
Yeah, yeah.
Just as
So
long as
we're-
it's after the 15th, that's all that matters to me.
Just don't buy
I
any
got a
green
flight to
bananas if you know what I'm saying.
Oh goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll
Oh.
for that.
May or March 13th. They're conflicting prophecies.
Because she's
Okay,
getting
May or
an M,
March.
feeling an M month.
Julie K. Barnett, who was Julie Rowe, who's now Julie Barnett.
Yes, that's the one.
Oh, it's Julie Rowe?
It's
That's
Julie
crazy.
Rowe.
I would
She's
think she
now-
would hide and never, ever make a prediction again after all the failed ones she's already done. I can't believe she's still doing
She's
it.
not a quitter.
She's going to get it right one of these days.
She's gonna get it there.
I can't believe
Oh,
Well-
great. Well, now you tell us.
A
I
broken
just went
clock
and
is right
maxed
2
out all
times
my
a day.
credit cards.
Oh, shucks.
Well, if it happens, I'm going to come to your house, okay? Because it sounds like you're ready for it.
I'm
I'll
ready.
let people know that Julie Rowe, back in 9.5 years ago, was the subject of a Mormon Stories episode called Julie Rowe, Her Near-Death Experience, the Mormon Prepper Movement, and Prophecies of Global Disaster in September 2015. So she was making prophecies back then of a global disaster. And
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
didn't happen.
Nothing's
But
happened,
even
she said. She also said that those children, Lori Vallow Daybell's children, were still alive and they were well. And she could see them and they were fine.
Wow.
Is that
Oh.
Rob?
Hi, Rob.
Rob is here.
Rob Tobler?
Aloha.
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 Rob, are you in Hawaii or something?
Yeah.
I am. I'm sorry. I think I'm an hour late. I apologize. Didn't get the
It's
memo.
okay. It's okay.
When you live in paradise,
You're
what's
here.
time?
Yeah, who cares?
Because they don't change the clock in Hawaii.
We don't in Arizona either, but it's still not Hawaii.
That's right.
It's a little bit closer. Wow, sorry, you haven't missed a thing.
So, are you done talking Mountain Meadows? What are you talking about now?
Julie
You
Whatever.
have the floor. You say whatever you want. We'll see what
Yeah.
happens. We'll laugh if you get something wrong.
You got to go back and watch everything from the start.
I will.
What did you want to
Oh.
add about Mountain Meadow Massacre, though?
I was listening to Benjamin Parks, the historian, and he talked about how Mountain Meadows was just one of over a half dozen scenarios where Latter-day Saint leaders dressed up as Indians and harassed or Native Americans and harassed, immigrants that came through the
What? Ben Park?
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
They dressed up as Indians.
What kind of fair mare is that? Meine Güte, das ist scheiße.
So they had a
Bitch.
habit. They started a habit and they couldn't get out of it.
That's
No,
right.
it's
When was this that Ben said this?
He said it on a TikTok video. He's the author of Kingdom of Nauvoo. He's great.
Yeah, right.
Tim's doubting your source, I think.
I will send you the link, Tim, when we get done here.
Okay. All right. Okay. Oh my.
Tough crowd.
Okay.
wrong, Tim. What's wrong?
It's
So
it's horseshit.
we should also put Rob in charge of Thrive Hawaii. And
Yeah.
we'll go to that.
Yeah. Well, I'll go thrive away
There
and
you
say
go.
about that. Oh, I don't like Ben Park. Okay.
You know what we could do? We could go to the Polynesian Cultural Center as our field trip and get coffee. They offer coffee at the church's Polynesian Cultural Center. Go figure.
At least we'll
Okay.
go.
All right. So, what do you want to say? The floor is yours.
I don't really have much to say. I am back on TikTok, and it is a brutal environment. I'm making some construction videos that I'm passionate about, but Boy, it takes a lot of energy, and I don't know how much energy I have for it. We'll see.
Okay.
Are you getting negative comments?
Some, but just really kind of like, sorry, but like ignorant comments. Like I'm tired of like having to do the research for people who haven't
Yeah.
done basic deconstruction. It's like, come on, just Google this. You can find this yourself. Anyway,
You mean like just read the gospel topic essays level?
yes, exactly.
And they're arguing with you over these points because they're still in. Is that what you're talking about?
Of course.
And
Yeah.
you're having to like, oh, that's frustrating.
Yeah.
We'll have to do a gospel topics essays episode.
Oh, I wanted to share. I was invited on to the Why I Stay podcast with Lindsay, a faithful Latter-day Saint, who is doing a series of interviewing people who have left the church. She wants to know what it felt like, what was their experience, so that members can do better at being loving and not losing familial connections and stuff like that. And it was a really sweet experience, and I felt very validated. And anyway, the episode should be released this week, and I highly recommend her and her show. She's just a really good person.
Cool.
And my advice, which she really liked, was members should just treat people in faith crisis like ward members when they break their arm or break their ankle. You know, you just show up with a casserole. You say, "Oh my gosh, what happened to your leg?" You're not the doctor. You're not the physical therapist. You're just there to care and have, a conversation rather than just, ignore them, and treat them like a pariah. So
Yeah, what I've experienced is telling my non-member friends that I've left the church, and they say, "Oh my gosh, that has got to have been so hard for you. Like you were all in, like, are you okay? How are you?" I tell my very best friend who we've been in the church together. We don't live in the same state anymore. I tell her, and her first response to me was, "Well, I'm not leaving. I didn't experience that." It's crazy.
yeah, no true Scotsman. Well, it must have been you. It could never be the system or the organization. Must have been you.
It's you. Yeah, it's your problem. Yeah, I got the same thing. It's like, oh, you got your feelings hurt, or, so something, you couldn't handle a trial, and so you had to bail.
Yeah.
Or you want to sin.
You want to sin. That's my favorite. Oh, I get it. You just wanted to drink and sleep around.
And wear sleeveless shirts. If I had just waited a year and a half, I could have still had that.
Oh, you could have stayed in.
Wow.
I gave up too early.
Dang, see?
Doggone it.
The wrong reason. Get back in there.
So, Rob, did you say the reason why I stay is because I don't want to sin?
No. She made it very clear she did not want to debate, truth claims or anything like that, and asked that I refer to the church with its proper name, and I was totally agreeable to that.
Sure.
She's already posted like 5 interviews she's done with people, and she really seems willing to learn and be Christ-like, and I just think it's a great way to connect. And it's too bad the church is not doing this or providing training for how to keep your family together, even when people change their beliefs.
Yeah.
If anybody watched Mormon discussions on last Wednesday, where the girl said the reason that they are getting rid of the name Mormon is because of the John DeLynne's Mormon Stories podcast billboards, they saw that, and that caused them to get rid of the name Mormon and to call it the Church Die Kirche Jesu Christi der Heiligen der letzten Tage. So I thought that was very, very revealing that because of one billboard, they decided to get rid of that name.
Interesting.
Shocking. Yeah, I know.
And it would cost too much to have the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints stories and put that on a billboard. Too many words.
Too many words.
The cost is too high.
That's right.
No, it would. I have a hard time believing that because, sorry, I don't mean to push back, but this has been
Okay.
President Nelson's pet peeve for a long time, way before he was ever a prophet, and way before those signs were up on the freeway, I think.
Yeah.
So I kind of think, that might have been a factor that might have pushed him over the edge and said, see, that's why I think we need to get rid of that name. I mean, it might have had something to do with it, but I think he's always wanted to do that.
Yeah, I think it was a contributing factor.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But they're never going to get rid of it. It's never going to happen.
No, well, we're not going to let it.
That's right. We're Mormons. God damn it.
That's right. I'm not going to let it. I'm going to keep saying it, and it's going to be win-win-win for Satan every time I say it. Satan is winning. Make sure that. Oh.
Last call if anybody wants to join and say hi. But we'll wrap it up. Thanks, Ruth, and thanks, Lila, for coming on.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
It was fun being here.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I do want to say
Anytime.
something, Mountain Meadows, if you.
Oh, yeah.
When I was a young, immature husband, I had some complaints about my spouse, and I went to see my bishop, who was a really good guy, and he
suggested dressing up like an Indian.
How did you know? Come on, don't spoil alert my stories, Gene. No, but he, I made my complaints, and he, opened up his New Testament, and I was thinking, great, give me that scripture that I can go home and show my wife and get her to, do the dishes or whatever the thing was, right? And this good bishop, he said to me, I don't even remember what the verse was. He says, Rob, your main priest's responsibility is to set the tone in your home. That your home should be a place of refuge where people out in the world, they might get bullied or name called, but at home, they're safe. And wow, that really shocked me to hear that. And the reason I bring that story up is, perhaps Brigham Young, we can't pin him on, calling for the Mountain Meadows Massacre, but he is responsible for the tone, the atmosphere that was in the state of Utah which created the powder keg that was just for sure to erupt in just a matter of time,
Yep.
Yes.
That's
indeed.
all I got.
That's true. I kicked off.
Yeah, well, it was George A. Smith
Randy
and Brigham
by
Young.
accident because I was trying to get rid of his other black screen. So Randy, come back on. And
Let me say this. I do not believe that Brigham Young ordered it or knew about it. I think he may have been kind of aware, but the people who say that he ordered it, I think, are full of shit.
yeah, you know what? It really doesn't make any sense because when you look at the map, they came from Wyoming down to Salt Lake, all that time. Provo would have been the best place to order the hit.
Well, there was no Provo.
I think I agree with Rob though that even if he wasn't the one that said do it,
Created the atmosphere.
he had created an environment where they thought, well, he talks this big talk, he's probably going to be okay with it.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, and I don't know if you ever caught, I did a TikTok video. I think it was 1969. And at the beginning of my TikTok video, I show all the amazing things that were happening in 1969 as far as humanitarian and civil rights and, people curing diseases. And then I cut to, and what were LDS leaders doing that year? They were meeting in the temple. Why? Was it to figure out civil rights?
Year?
I think it was 1969.
69.
LDS prophets and apostles, including President Ezra Taft Benson, were meeting to discuss and agree upon restoring serial mass aliver John D. Lee's temple blessings. And they walked from their offices over to the temple and made sure that serial unaliver got all of his temple blessings restored. Nice.
Oh,
Oh.
Lila.
Lila, you're muted. But I agree.
Yeah, I'm grossed out,
Yeah.
and that's just disgusting.
Yeah.
You know, I have issues with sorry, I better stop.
No, go ahead, please.
Hey, we all have issues. That's why I go to therapy.
Yeah.
I just saw my therapist this morning, so
I have 2 days till I see mine.
go ahead, Lila.
You know how we were all taught forgiveness? Like that was our job. We need to forgive everyone, and God would forgive who he would, but we need to forgive everyone. And that was preached to kids whose parents or father or uncle or whatever sexually molested them.
Yeah.
That it was their job to forgive. And then these people weren't punished. They were just sort of, you know, reworked somewhere, given another calling or whatever. And it continued. It just kept on going. And this keeps happening. Like we keep hearing this. It's not going away. They don't report it. So these people just continue to abuse. And yet God, you know, is supposed to be this loving God, but he doesn't intervene. He doesn't take care of these babies, these children. And he allows these serial killers and pedophiles to walk the earth unchecked, unintervened upon for decades. Now, how can anyone make sense of that and say, you know, I talked to someone who's a very strong believer in God. She's left the church, but she's still very much a Jesus and God fan. And she was saying, you know, this life is such a brief little sliver of time that it's all going to be okay in the grand scheme of things. And what we suffered here is just going to be so minimal, you know, in comparison to what's on the other side. And, you know, I just thought, you know, that's a lovely way to ignore the problems in the world and just brush them all aside and make everything sound rosy and wonderful. You have no guarantee that anything's going to be made right on the other side. How do you know this? How do you know this is going to happen? And what that does is it allows people to ignore and just allow these things to continue, like I said, unchecked. Just like it's okay, it's all going to be made right someday. I'm sorry, I'm doing a John DeLynn rant right now, but sometimes I feel like the rants need to be said because
It's insane.
It's
insane to believe that.
ridiculous that we were taught these things and that I bought it for so long.
Well, yeah. It's a death cult, and we all did. We all bought it. I mean, Christianity is a death cult.
Yeah.
When you die, you'll get your reward in heaven, so suffer now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's just, anyway, it just really makes me angry and sad. You know, when people die young, anyway, it's a long story. I've had some death in my family recently, and the way people will talk about it as if it's nothing and that, you know, oh, it's okay. We're just going to see them soon. It's all going to be okay.
Yeah, when Nathan and I did the interview with Rob and his wife, she brought that up, that in Mormonism, we don't even process our feelings.
No.
And grief is not processed. We don't experience it. We don't go through it. We just push it aside and say, oh, it's okay. I'll see them again. And then that process never happens.
Yep.
So unhealthy.
Right. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Similarly, my mom didn't come to my wedding, and all I could think is, well, she must not have wanted to. She could have made choices, right? She could have gone to church and kept the word of wisdom and paid. She always paid tithing, but she could have done the other things, but she chose to not come. Instead of just saying, it's a happy occasion, everybody should just come. And so I'm glad that they don't require same day anymore. But too many people want to be, more Jesus-y than thou, and they still are going to get married in the temple in the same day.
Well,
But anyhow,
in Europe, you can get married. You have to get married civilly before you go
Right.
to the temple and get sealed. So the family can be there for the civil, but not for the sealing.
yeah, so they allow that now in America as an option.
Yeah. Now, finally, after all these years,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about time. I already
And-
told my kids when they get married in the temple, which some of them I'm sure will, I asked them to please do a civil ceremony so I could be there.
Yeah.
And they all said, sure, Mom. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it's just kind of.
I've been invited to receptions, but never to consummations. I don't know why.
mean. No wonder Michelle can't take you anywhere.
That's right. So anyway, before
Well,
she
I
comes
wanna
in and
get-
shuts the computer down. No.
I want to get back to one point.
Okay.
Oh, it's a different
Oh.
cat.
That's what I was going to say.
This is Monkey. We have 16.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Tim, we need to have a talk about that.
No, I have 2. My roommate has the rest. These are his cats. He and his late wife used to foster cats.
Sorry. Okay, go back to what you were saying.
Is that you can only ride a horse 30 miles a day before you kill it. And how long it took for a rider to get from Salt Lake to Cedar and back again. Like, they got the letter, I think it was the 13th or the 14th of September, not to do it. Who was it? Trevor Larson thinks Brigham Young ordered it. And like we said, there is no reason that Brigham Young would have ordered it. Yes, there was a lot of war talk, but it makes no sense to me. I mean, George Albert Smith was the one going around stirring everybody up. It wasn't Brigham. So,
You Brigham lover, you.
well, Brigham Young did say a lot of things, but he was afraid they were going to arrest him or something. They thought they were going to come and shut everything down.
There's an idea.
Yeah.
Good reason.
I mean, Fort Kearny in Nebraska was the furthest west except for Bridger. I mean, there was Kearny and then Bridger, and that was it on the Oregon Trail. And there was really no point. The reason they went out there was people were complaining about what was happening at Salt Lake. And so it was Buchanan sent the army out there. But anyway, I like, there's no evidence. There's no reason that Brigham. Why would he want to do it? I mean, I need probable cause for Brigham Young to order them to be killed.
If Trevor's still watching, will you please post some?
He is.
There it is. Good point.
Yeah, good point, Trevor. But I don't buy it. Okay. George A. Smith is the guilty party. George A. Smith is the one that went around to the towns and told them to get ready and prepare. There was a lot of war talk, yes, and there was a lot going on. You need to remember the climate that they were living in. And they were afraid that the government was going to come out and take everything away. Just remember that.
Also,
So-
Brigham Young was a dictator, and you know what they say?
Yes.
Whenever you're a dictator, there's
Brigham
nothing
Young was a
stopping you
dictator.
from being a dick.
That's right. And he was a dick. I mean, he was a bad guy. Okay. He did a lot of bad things.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't be here if it weren't for him.
Yeah,
What?
thanks, Brigham.
I mean,
We wouldn't be here? What do you mean?
we wouldn't be
We
Mormons.
wouldn't be doing this
Our
podcast.
We wouldn't be doing
ancestors.
this podcast.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
My ancestors who went up to Wyoming and other places, I mean,
Well, none of my ancestors had anything to do with Mormonism.
I know.
But
Mine either.
I was a member,
Yes.
and I wouldn't be having this conversation. That's true.
I mean, I have family members that go back to the 1830s who started one or two lines that go back that far. But if it weren't for them, I wouldn't be here talking about
That's right.
Mormonism.
If I could go back, if I could be the director or of the American Primeval, or a video about Mountain Meadows Massacre, I wouldn't change a lot. I would add one character, like in the scene where they're going through and they're unaliving everybody. I would just have wandering amongst the crowd Jesus saying, "Love
Stop.
your enemies,
Don't.
bless
Love your
them that
enemies.
persecute you." As he gets pushed aside and they continue to pew pew. How quickly they forget the center of their worship, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And
It was definitely a perfect storm.
And until 9/11, that 9/11, 9/11 and 9/11, 57 and 2001, more Americans died than any other place on American soil by whites. So, something to think about.
So we'll get ready we'll wrap it up. Everybody, if you can attend a Thrive somewhere, try to attend a Thrive. If you want to contact the Thrive leadership and see about getting a Thrive near you. They have a lot of helpers. And every year they do the St. George Thrive, and it's gotten so big that they're going to take it out of the Hilton or whatever hotel it was. It starts with an H.
Yeah, there were 420 people there.
There's a convention center that's just down the street, and they're
right next door.
Rent that.
I think we've had it there before.
At the convention center?
Yeah.
I think I heard the first time that it was there, it was really big, over 1,000 people.
It was.
Yeah.
I feel like it's that what I saw in the pictures you just showed, Jean, was a small number compared to what I've seen there before. It seemed less. But maybe I don't know, maybe the year, maybe I'm thinking of something else.
And would they do a show at the Thrive at the South Palace recently? Where it was
they did. We did one. It was in the Delta Center.
Delta Center.
Mm-hmm. I guess it's something else now. It's not called the Delta Center, but same building, and that was in 2023, I think. Maybe RFM came. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, I usually go to the St. George one because I like it, but I could not.
Oh yeah, one little quick one. RFM came, I think, in the 2021 Thrive, and that was the same as Sarah Edmondson.
Yeah, that's.
And
that
they've
2019.
2021, I think it was, because Mormonism Live was happening, and RFM said a story that when he was flying back to the Pacific Northwest from Salt Lake, they had turbulence, and there was a lady passenger who was a little bit upset, and it turned out to be Sarah, and so RFM was explaining that story on Mormonism Live, and so me, always trying to connect things, texted Sarah, and I said, RFM's talking to about you right now on his show, and she goes, no way. And so I sent her the link, and then
wasn't too happy about that.
So no, she that was cool.
Okay with it?
RFM was saying that he didn't really recognize her because he was in the hallway while she was giving her presentation, because everybody wants to talk in the hallway, and so
he was surrounded. He was like he couldn't go to the bathroom. He couldn't get a drink. So many people were lined up to meet him.
Wow.
At that thing, he couldn't get away to eat, nothing.
So anyway, so Sarah said she'll come on Latter Daily Digest someday.
Cool.
So she has a new book coming out, and she wants it to be either, for sale, the pre-sales are out before she comes on. Even though we could talk about lots of other things, but like even just going to the Thrive as a never more, but high demand escapee, high demand religion. So Hallie says that she met Lila at Thrive.
Oh yeah, hi Holly.
A few years ago.
Years ago. Yeah, the paparazzi.
It's a paparazzi.
That's our family.
Is that what we call Exmos nowadays? Paparazzi?
Paparazzi.
Yeah. So anyway, like and subscribe. We're finally close to 20 people watching, and we're closing the show.
Wait, Rob, did
Rob, yeah.
thing?
I don't watch much television or movies, but I actually want to make a recommendation.
Okay.
My wife and I have been enjoying a program on Netflix called You Can't Say That. Has anyone seen this?
No.
Oh.
It's a television series out of Australia, and in each episode they bring people on the show who are maybe marginalized because they are intersex or they are small stature, like midget. I don't know what the proper word is there. I apologize if I said that wrong. Or centenarians, or facially deformed or something. And the people submit questions, things that you would never ask, like ask a centenarian, when was the last time you had relations? Or, do you feel like you're a burden on your family? And you get to hear and put yourself in the shoes of a marginalized group of people that, wow, I had no idea, and just watching the program has really helped me develop empathy for refugees or, sex workers or people with cancer, or people who've been to jail. Anyway, check it out. Let me know what you think.
Yeah.
Sounds
Okay.
really good. Kind of sounds like soft white underbelly.
Exactly like that.
Yeah.
One thing we did do at Thrive afterwards was we went to go see Ruby Frankie's house, and the house the little boy went to at night.
It felt just like, after a young adult dance or something where everybody says, hey, let's go drive to the cemetery and tell scary stories.
We're all at Megan's friend's house talking, and Barbara texted Megan saying, hey, you want to go see the house? And we all, Maven, myself, Gene and his wife, and Barbara, and anyway,
So it was
Anyway.
Jody Grant's house? That one?
yeah, the house outside of St. George. Gene drove
actually-
right up
And
to
so,
the garage.
I drove right up to the garage. I didn't know what was going on.
And
We
the
were
neighbors,
The neighbors chased them away and said, I'm going to call the cops because they probably get lots of people driving around there. But Megan, the very next day on Mormon Stories, when they were reviewing the, what's the name of that show?
The Devil in the Family.
Devil in the Family. Megan was able to say that she saw how far the houses were apart, and the boy that escaped, he was able to, knock on a few doors here and there and down the street, finally get saved. And so,
when I watch Devil in the Family, I'm looking at the garage and I'm going, crap, we were just there the other night.
yeah.
Did you see what Trevor? That's terrible. Okay.
That is terrible.
What did Trevor
Not
say?
funny.
Oh, that's not funny, Trevor. Trevor, that's not funny.
The duct tape and the handcuffs was for way later in the evening.
This is not Mormonism After Dark, you guys.
Oh my
This
goodness.
is Tuesdays with Tim after
Wait a
dark.
Oh, Tim's going to get his handcuffs.
Oh no. No demos.
No, not
Yeah,
handcuffs.
Jody's house. Right. Thanks, Hallie.
Jody's house.
This conversation is descended.
Okay.
Duct tape.
I am out.
That's all that's left on the roll.
That's not duct tape. That's electrical tape.
No, that's Gorilla Tape.
It's just a gorilla tape.
Gorilla Tape.
Good enough.
Gorilla my dreams.
Okay.
You wanted to end on a happy note. I guess we're all giggling now.
Well, that'll be the subject of a future Tuesdays with Tim. But we need to let Megan rest. I told her that. She wants to talk about both of these things, but we need to give her time to heal because she's going through a hell of a lot right now.
Yeah.
I am trying to take off the 2 weeks of the Lori Vallow case. Because I'm here, I want to go and be in court, but we'll see if I can figure that out.
The next hearing is next Tuesday, the 18th.
Oh, I want the whole one, but maybe Tuesday the 18th.
They leave.
That's another preliminary.
I'm going to wait for the hanging. Is that
Not-
the wrong
no.
time period?
No death, no death penalty in Arizona. I think they've taken it off the table.
Yeah.
If you
Anyway.
watched it this morning, it was pretty sad watching her.
Yeah,
in
I
court.
did watch it.
I watched it too.
She
Yes,
doesn't know what the hell
it's,
she's doing.
It is amazing. Oh, one thing I was going to say that Barbara Brown is going to come on Latter Daily Digest with Megan's Midlife Revolution. We're going to do a collab so that Barbara doesn't have to do 2 shows. At least that's what I'm trying to pitch it as. Barbara said next week sometime. So look for Barbara Brown talking about kind of giving both her presentation from about American Primeval, what they got right and wrong. And
They
also
didn't get anything right.
in her presentation. Brigham Young looked just as handsome as ever.
Brigham
And
Young never
combined
rode a
with the-
horse. Brigham
combined
Young
with the
always rode a
presentation
carriage.
at Mountain Meadows. They got the fact that it's hot some days and snowy some other days.
Tim
There
was-
remembers.
That reminds me.
There was nothing right about
was
that
there,
suit.
you guys.
Here's what
I was there. Okay.
here's what my wife hated the most about American Primeval. What the fake character that didn't even exist in the movie in real life, the Mormon that was in the wagon train, gets
With his scalped head.
and then
Yes.
4 or 5 more days goes by and he doesn't wash it. And my wife's like,
Worse
wash
and
your
worse.
head, wash your face. You're in the river. Just grab some water and just put it up there. But anyway, that's what she didn't like.
I couldn't watch it, so I didn't get very far in the whole thing.
You're doing fine. If you're gonna watch it, watch September Dawn. I mean, remember, I haven't seen it since it came out in the theaters, but it is
I have
closer than.
I have a soft spot in my heart for Peter Berg because he played Fire in the Sky. He
Yes.
was in that show where the guy from Arizona got abducted by aliens.
And
It
he
was
made that
naked.
awful film,
Out
Battleship. I think the only movie he made that's any good was the one about the oil rig.
Don't say anything bad about him because I'm trying to get him on the show. No, I'm just
Are you
kidding.
serious? Oh, well, I watched him on Joe Rogan.
Yeah?
Yeah, he
What's
was on
Joe Rogan got that Tuesdays with Tim doesn't have? We have
Well-
Lila and Ruth,
That's
And-
right.
Brother John.
We have stars. Let me see, what was it? What was
Somebody with an internet named Randy. Needs to get it fixed.
what's the movie about? The
Okay.
Deepwater Horizon is the only
The only one
movie
you would recommend?
that I would recommend that he's directed.
Okay. So we'll leave that as a one Tim.
Well, I haven't seen
recommendation.
Patriots Day, so
Okay. Patriots Day was good.
I've seen Lone
It was a made
Survivor.
for TV movie, I believe.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, Lone Survivor. Okay, I take that back. Maybe there's 2 movies he made that were good.
Okay.
Hancock.
Right.
Well, 3, 4, maybe.
One more pitch for Lila. Send in if you're here and you haven't watched earlier. Lila says send in your stories of a spiritual abuse, and she gave her email address up there, and you can rewind it. and Ruth has her great and spacious building.
Beyond the great and spacious. building.
Beyond the great and spacious. I always forget the beyond.
I know.
But anyhow.
Rob
Right.
reads
Thanks
it.
for watching.
Thank you
Yeah, thanks
for
for having
coming
us.
into my home and causing trouble and making my cats go wild.
That's right.
Thank you
Good night, everyone.
for
Good
having me.
night.
Bye.
Good
Be
night.
kind, be well to everybody, and
That's
Yeah.
right. I made Tim sign
Don't
off
screw
last
the
week. He
pooch.
did a good job. But I'll sign off.